This is where some of the greatest stories mentioned in the Bible took place. The Jordan Valley, a magnificent area nestling between Israel, the Palestinian Authority, and Jordan.
This is the place where, according to tradition, the Israelites crossed from what is nowadays Jordan into the Promised Land through River Jordan that runs down in the Jordan Valley. Now we're standing somewhere around 400 meters above sea level, and it's almost 700 meters down below us that is here. This route to our right goes all the way up to Nablus of our days, back in the days as well. It's called the Gorge, or the Creek of Tirza.
One of the most interesting sites here is the Horns of Sartaba, or Alexandrian. It contains the remains of a famous fortress from the Hasmonean kingdom. The surrounding geography shows us how it became such a significant strategic stronghold.
The Hasmoneans picked the high hills as their strongholds. Some say they were inspired by the Nabateans, who built great fortresses like these during the Iron Age. We are standing on the top of a high hill, a perfect spot to build a fortress. We are standing in the ancient Judea region. This is the heart of the Hasmonean kingdom during the time of King Alexander Jannaeus. From here we can see Mount Chatzor, where the famous Battle of Esan took place, the 8th Maccabee battle where Judah the Maccabee died in 160 BCE. Northeast from here, we can see the battle site of the Northern Battle between Alexander Jannaeus and Talmai Latirus in 103 BCE, a battle which, according to Josephus, Jannaeus lost.
The site was established by King Alexander Jannaeus and was also used by his wife, Shlomtzion, as a treasury.
The name of the site, Alexandrian, may indicate that it is associated with the Hasmonean king Alexander Jannaeus. During that time, the northern part of the Jordan Valley was under Hasmonean control. Archaeologist Yoram Tzafrir, who excavated the site in the 1980s, recognized this site as the most significant Hasmonean site for several reasons. First of all, it is one of the 3 fortresses that Queen Shlomtzion had when she gave her fortune and property to her children. Second, we find here the last Hasmoneans. Aristobulus II and his son Alexandrus returned here and besieged this fortress during the Roman conquest of 63 to 49 BCE. And third, the historian Josephus mentions this place in his book Antiquities of the Jews as where the Hasmonean dynasty is buried.
Located in a remote area, far from any water sources, life in Sartaba was indeed challenging. One of the things that helped the Hasmonean dynasty survive here were these huge water halls located on the slope of the mountain.
This technique of collecting and storing water using this sort of a water cistern was used in the Holy Land mainly from the 2nd century BCE, the time of the Hasmonean kingdom. There is a possibility that there was a connection between the Hasmonean dynasty and the Roman Empire, because we also find a similar structure of water cistern in Rome of that period. We also see this technique in urban centers like Jerusalem.
The Romans who defeated the Hasmonean kingdom destroyed Sartaba, but the site was rebuilt by King Herod the Great, one of the most notable rulers of the Holy Land, who was responsible for some of the most iconic sites in the region, such as the Second Jewish Temple in Jerusalem, Caesarea, and Sebastia.
Herod sent his brother Pheroras to take over the fortress. We know that in the year 15 BCE, when Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa came for a visit to the region, Herod brought him here as a guest. Herod also used this place as a jail. He captured his wife Miriam and her mother Alexandra. Later, he also brought the corpses of his sons and buried them here. So this place functions as a burial site and also as a royal palace, perhaps with Roman baths and also for administrative and military purposes.
Despite the reach and fascinating history of the site, Sartaba was barely excavated. The last season of excavation here took place 40 years ago. Sartaba is located in a remote area with difficult accessibility, and it's also in a politically sensitive area of the Jordan Valley, which makes it hard for researchers. Meanwhile, it has become a magnet for antiquities looters and vandals.
A lot of the archaeological sites in the West Bank have suffered wild antiquities robberies for years. This is a worrying phenomenon which gets worse every year. Because this site is so remote and full of items, this phenomenon exists.
Last year, the Jordan Valley returned to the headlines after Israeli plans to annex the area. In the meantime, Sartaba Alexandrian remains one of the most fascinating and intriguing sites of the Hasmonean and Herodian periods, whose secrets are still waiting to be uncovered.